Hi there, welcome to the UploadVR Gamescast. It is great to see you. I am one of your hosts, Jamie Feltham, here to talk about the week's gaming news, reviews, things of this nature. Helping me do that is the one, the only, Harry Baker. How you doing?
Hello, Jamie. How are you? I've got something
Well, I'm
for
okay.
you.
Sorry.
It's another joke. I've got a joke for you. Okay,
Oh,
you've probably heard
another
this one
one.
before.
Okay.
Bear
Okay,
with
yeah.
me.
I didn't realize this was a
What's a
recurring segment.
pirate's? It is now. What's a pirate's favorite letter?
Well, I mean, is this
It's not a
the
trick
thing where
question.
I know the answer? And
You might, yeah.
is it R?
You think it'd be R, but it's the C he really loves.
Hmm.
There you go. It's a good one for
I
good one
really
for the
wish
viewers there.
I wish I'd
I
taken
got to
a
think of
moment
like
to
a
think
VR
about it.
related. Yeah, well, I got to think of like a VR related joke one day. But
Or maybe we could get like
until then.
maybe we could get like one of the pirate games to sponsor us, and we just then you tell that
Good.
joke.
And then we do a whole episode with pirate accents, really bad pirate
Oh
accents.
my god, I would absolutely do that. If you want to give us money to speak in pirate accents, it's going to have to be like a good couple of hundred. Don't just like tip us in super chat or something. We will do that. We are here to serve you in any way.
That Ubisoft pirate game that's been in development for like 15 years that has not confirmed VR support, but maybe they will, and maybe they'll pay us money.
And they're looking for the best, most weird viral campaign you could possibly do. If you enjoy hearing ridiculous chat like this, you might want to consider being one of our members, of which there are already many. We'd like to thank Stephen Reynolds, Captain Clutch, Jerome Richardson, who I think is Jerome Houston, because Jerome Houston's not here anymore, but Jerome Richardson is here. So I feel like maybe he got into international trouble or something and had to change his name. James Atloud, Anthony Mann Wexford, Robert Canonas, ×2, Handy Panama, Daniel Bowen, Andrew King, Skiva 007, the sexiest of the bicycles, Mathieu, Rick Tet, 360 Pickable, Smash Reality, Adam Hartzell, and John Westra. Thank you so much. Week in, week out, your support means the world to us. I have a surprise segment of bad Metaverse Watch for you.
Oh, you got me again every time.
This one,
I'm never expected it.
This is a very there's no image to go with this one, unfortunately. It's a very loose use of the segment this week. A Momentive survey says that 58% of Americans are neither scared nor excited for the metaverse. Did you read this?
I got this email as well. Okay. No, I did not read it. I literally went, no, delete.
So 58% of them basically don't know what to do with it. 7% of them are excited. So what does that mean?
Scared?
32% are scared of the metaverse.
Wow, 1 in 3 people are scared of them. They're scared specifically of Mark Zuckerberg in the metaverse.
My favorite thing about that,
after them or something.
My favorite thing about that is this survey clearly had two emotions. You're either excited or you're scared, or you're somewhere in between. Like you can't be happy about it or like indifferent about it.
Yeah,
like that's just this one weird category in the middle.
I reckon they also like didn't have the third option of like, are you neither, until they just asked a whole bunch of people, are you excited or scared? And they were like, well, I haven't really thought about this. And they're like, I better add a third option.
Yeah, secret
so
third
then,
option.
Then they did the survey and they were like, oh damn, 58% of people are undecided. That's our survey result.
Completely apathetic in their lack of
as far as good data goes
or anticipation.
I'd say 58% being undecided is not a great I would say it's not a great successful result to your survey.
No, clearly they need educating on the Snoop Dogg NFTs.
Yeah, that's it. And the wine you can buy in the metaverse, and all the concerts and all the amazing things we do in the metaverse. I'm
trying out a new desk setup this week for the download. And would you like to know where my desk is? It's here.
Yes, sure, please.
It's literally. Oh, there we go. It's literally like
I see.
half
so you're trying
a
to press
centimeter
the
before where I press the home button. If you're listening on audio,
yes.
I can't hit my own tablet in VR, which is very annoying. But we're figuring it out. We're getting there.
What do you need me to press for you, Jamie?
Sorry, I got it. I think I got through it.
Okay.
I'm going to bring up. Okay. I'm going to bring up an image or a video even of Beat Saber. And why am I doing this, Harry?
Well, we've actually just re-reviewed Beat Saber, or I guess kind of reviewed it for the first time. I mean, we reviewed, I think, it in early access ages
Hmm.
ago, reviewed it on PSVR, I think, and then
Hmm.
maybe did like a Quest review or like a Quest impressions thing. I don't know. But this is like the kind of modern review that covers pretty much all platforms because they all are basically the same at this point.
Yeah.
Maybe the visuals are a bit different, but So we've reassessed it. We've come back and we've kind of posed the question: is this still relevant? Is this still a good game? Is it the VR game?
Mm.
Um, yeah, it's been an interesting thought experiment. I think basically the conclusion I came to was no, it's not the best VR game, but it is a very, very, very important one, I think. And the rating I ended up giving it was essential. I think there's no way to avoid giving it an essential rating. It is like
Yeah.
the VR game. I think that's the kind of thing that I kept coming back to. It's like nothing else is this big,
Yeah.
pretty much. It's
Yeah.
the only VR game that gets recognition like outside of VR. Like people I know, I had some
Yeah.
people here on the weekend, friends who were coming over. They came down from Canberra down to Melbourne, and they were like, "Oh, we want to try
Do
VR."
you have
And then
Beat
one of
Saber?
them, yeah, literally one of them was like, "Oh, what's that game at the Beat Saber? The games I've seen them people stream that on and stuff." Like I had no idea what anything else was, but they know this. I think that speaks a lot to
Mm.
the importance of the game. Is that people who are otherwise completely disconnected from VR do know what Beat Saber is?
Yeah.
Because I can't think of many other VR things like that really at all, even like headsets.
Yeah. This is to me. I have never been into Beat Saber, but I was never into Guitar Hero. I was never
Yeah.
into Rock Band. I mean, like I had Rock Band and I enjoyed it, but I was never like it was not, never really my thing. And
Mm,
VR rhythm games have never really been my thing, or any kind of rhythm game has been my thing. And
yeah.
I totally agree that Beat Saber should be an essential game for those reasons you just pointed out. It is the most well known. It's VR's biggest example of a system seller yet at the
Yeah.
end of the day, and
Totally.
and I totally get that. There's an incredible community around it that is always modding, always pushing their scores on Expert Plus, doing the most crazy things you see online. I feel like I'm somewhat almost notorious on this podcast for kind of being like, but really for Beat Saber, you know, like
Yeah.
it's the thing I've always said is all the potential of VR, all the
Mm.
amazing things we could do with it. And what's
And
the
the
most
biggest
popular thing to
community
do
for
with VR
modding and
right now?
stuff. Yeah.
Slash some Lego bricks.
Yeah, that's understandable. I also think too, I didn't really talk much or even consider the kind of modding aspect of Beat Saber in the review. Obviously, that's
Mm,
because it's also like not part of the core game. But also, I think to touch on that, I think it's easy to see the one thing I did say in the review. It's easy to kind of have seen Beat Saber footage and be like, oh, this is not accessible to me. Like people are doing crazy things, especially when you get into like custom maps and mods and
mm,
the stuff people stream. Whereas, like, no, the game does actually cater to everyone. Like now, there's way more mainstream music in it than there ever has been. There's probably something for everyone, or something you at least recognize in
mm,
terms of like the DLC packs and whatnot. And there's various different difficulty levels. You can play on easy or normal. There's nothing kind of wrong with that. You can play with modifiers. There's loads of accessibility options. It has really like covered all bases, and it's not just this really insanely difficult, twitchy expert plus level. The only thing with that, I think, that I also mentioned in the review was that because of the way that they've done this, and that it's been like 4 years, and they've released DLC packs and things have changed, the difficulty levels are like
mm.
completely inconsistent now, which is something I've brought up several times in like DLC impressions or whatever. But when you like assess the whole game, it's so unbelievably clear. Like I was playing a level like this, like a Lady Gaga pack. If you play, I think this is actually hard, but I was playing like some of those songs on like expert, and then I was like, okay, I'm going to go back and play like OST 1 now on expert, and it feels like a completely different game in that like the
Mm.
OST 1 songs are like they look more like this or even simpler on expert, and then the newer stuff is way more complicated. And if you were a new player who had never played this before and picked up Beat Saber on your brand new headset and you bought all the packs, you'd be like, hang on, I can play expert on these ones and can't play expert on these. It would be so confusing to figure out
Yeah.
where you were. So I think that is like a problem that I don't know how they can address it, but I think it would be weird as a new player coming into this. And I think that applies as well to like the visuals. I think, the later DLC packs look amazing. The earlier levels don't look so great anymore,
Mm.
I think. I think there's a big disparity there. And I also just think like in general, I think both visuals and like user experience or UI I feel like both of those things could be done better at this point. Like I think the gameplay Beat Saber is timeless. I think what works so well about it too is that there's no friction. You can kind of like you everything you do, it feels as you expect it to feel because there's not that classic VR problem if I pushed against the wall and
Yeah,
I'm going through the wall.
yeah,
So I think that's why it's kind of remained relevant as
that's
well
very
because
true.
on every headset it works. Like it just feels good on every headset, no matter what system you're using. But I think like the user experience stuff and the menus are pretty like underwhelming now, and also there's so many good intuitive VR menus that we have. So many fun, like immersive ways to get people into a game. And I
Yeah,
still find the menu hard to explain to people. Like on the weekend when I had people around, I was like, oh no, you point it, and to go back you have to find that button. All the DLC packs come up when you hover over it. It's like really shouldn't be that hard, and it's just kind of
it's
like a
like a
very boring menu as well.
it's like a traditional like Guitar Hero menu or something, right? With just
Yeah,
a laser
it
pointer,
is.
which
Yeah,
isn't
and I
like
think that worked
ideal.
4 years ago,
Yeah,
but now
exactly.
it's like there's.
It doesn't.
I'm surprised it hasn't been. I think it has actually changed a little bit, like in bits and pieces. But I think that's the other problem is bits and pieces here have been changed, so it's like
Yeah,
this weirdly inconsistent thing now.
they could like definitely go and like collaborate with like Alchemy Labs in the way that they're always coming up with really interesting UIs. Like in
Yeah.
Cosmonius High, the menu system is like a backpack that you take out, and it's like sliders and dials that you have
Mm-hmm.
to turn and stuff rather than
Yeah.
actual like a laser
Totally.
pointer. It would be really cool. I think you're right. It would be actually a very meaningful and very cool update to the game to see those implemented in, so that you're not just doing that kind of weird, awkward.
Yeah.
Is this like a
Pointy
mouse?
laser.
Should I extend my
Yeah.
elbow?
Yeah.
Anything like that.
And the other thing with that too is I had people on the weekend, they were like, then they had to point things, but then they were like clicking and they're like, why isn't it going? I was like, oh no, use the trigger, not the button.
Yeah.
And it's like, why am I explaining this stuff? It feels like so weird to have to do that. They shouldn't even have to think about it. That's the
That is
beauty
one
of
of the
VR.
big
You should be able
pitfalls of
to,
those controllers.
yeah,
Because
it's so hard to explain the
every
buttons.
once in a while, someone doesn't use the trigger as well, and then that
Yeah, and they use
catches
an
me
A
out. I'm
button,
like,
and you're
what?
like, which button? I still don't know which one the A button is. I could not tell you
Yeah.
whether it's the top or the bottom one. I
Yeah.
have to check every single time.
Yeah. Same.
So yeah, that's one thing I really wish they overhauled. And also, I think the visuals are good, and I say this of like all versions, but particularly the Quest one. But it feels also like, again, they're a bit inconsistent between like the older stuff and the newer stuff. And also, like, I don't know, I feel like there are so many amazing Quest games that look amazing and stunning, and I just don't really believe that this is like the best it gets, if that makes sense. I feel like there is a better looking version of Beat Saber uh, that we could be experiencing that we're
On
not, just because it's kind of been updated in bits and pieces.
so
Like,
on that note, do you think
mm,
it's time for Beat Saber 2 that does completely overhaul
yes,
it? You
this
do
is
think it is?
my. I think it is. I think that'd be a pretty controversial opinion, but I think that like that makes the most sense in that you could
Mm,
release a whole new game that comes like with included tracks that are mainstream music. So you don't have to pay for extra for the mainstream
true.
music as you
Very true.
currently kind of do. You have a cool selection of that. It's got like some new gameplay elements. It looks visually different, a bit like a Guitar Hero 2 or something, or whatever, a traditional sequel. And then you can have like a legacy section where you can still play all your old DLC, you know,
Yeah.
and keep all your scores, and so everyone gets that and no one's upset they can't, that it's no longer supported. And I think that if I had to guess, that's not what they're planning on doing. I mean,
Mm.
we've still got that weird Connect tease from last year with the like, I don't know what it was. It was like a weird looking hilt and a different
Oh
saber,
yeah.
and they implied there was some kind of progression system or campaign, or because the campaign in this is basically you wouldn't even play it. It's like, who cares? It's really
Yeah.
outdated too. Um, but so that kind of implies there's more coming. And I'm like, I don't know. I don't know if I want that in this game anymore. I think I want like Beat Saber 2 and it to be completely overhauled, make it a polished new thing that looks amazing and blows everyone away. And then also it's meta now. Like, I'm surprised this isn't included on every headset. It's like the game, and it
What, and
has like
then
a
just selling
very,
DLC?
yeah, well, it has like a very potent DLC mod. Like, people buy the DLC, I'm
True.
presuming, and also it's very easy to sell it. Like, from a marketing perspective. So I'm surprised that you don't kind of,
That's a very
this game is
interesting
still
point. Yeah.
$30, and because also the other point I make is if you're a new player and you just got a headset, you have to buy this for $30, and you have to buy the DLC, which is like, I don't know, it's like 10 or something a pack. And when you add that up, it's quickly making it a very expensive game. Even though we don't really touch on like, you know, value propositions in our reviews, I think still it's easy to say like that makes it more costly, regardless of whether you think it's worth it or not. It's like at this point you have to pay quite a lot. Like you have to pay several times for a lot base
Yeah.
game and DLC.
That's
So yeah, I don't know.
that's really interesting. I think I would just come out and say like I think there's an incredibly low probability that they are working on a Beat Saber 2,
Yeah,
like a full Beat Saber 2.
I
Like they
think so.
just released
I
the
sadly agree.
changed level editor for PC, for example. Like you
Yeah.
said, they've got more updates coming. They are clearly making bank on DLC packs, and you know they're only, even though they've already got like Lady Gaga, Billie Eilish, everyone like that, they are only just starting to scratch the surface of what they can do with
Yeah.
those packs. But I think you're right. I think the coolest thing they could potentially do is do like a free version that basically overhauls everything visually, like we're saying for a sequel, especially as you know we move into
Mm,
Camber and Quest 3. They've got to be
yeah.
looking at ways to kind of push the Beat Saber experience there. And yeah,
Mm-hmm.
imagine it did already come in as a pack-in for every headset, and
Like a Wii
you just
Sports kind of deal.
immediately got into like buying music packs. That would be
Yeah.
huge.
I
That
think
that would
that's
make
way
so
easier
much
to
money.
convince people to buy music packs too, because it's like, oh, I've already got this and I can try it out. And then you go, oh, this is actually really fun.
Yeah.
And there's these songs by this artist, I'm going to buy those. Like
Mm.
a Billie Eilish fan who isn't interested in Beat Saber is not going to pay $30 to try Beat Saber to
That's a
then,
great point.
you
Yeah.
know, to then buy the Billie Eilish pack after that. But if they have it on their headset and they're like, oh, this is fun, and there is a Billie Eilish pack, I might just get that because it's only $10.
Yeah,
Like,
and
I don't know. To me, that seems like the model you would want to go with. I don't know the specifics of how much money they're making, sale versus DLC or whatever. But yeah.
not even just from a hardware perspective, but as they move into the whole, you know, getting apps into Horizon and everything like that,
Mm-hmm.
you're like, and you know, booting up your Quest for the first time and you're in your Horizon world with your friends next door or whatever, they're gonna
Yeah.
want Beat Saber as like a room or
Yeah.
a part
As
of
part
your
of that like
house, not just an
package.
app you
Yeah.
use. And that's
Yeah.
that's definitely a great idea for getting people in the door really, really quickly and then buying that DLC. That's yeah. There's a lot of potential places to take it. I will say I don't think they
Mm.
need to be doing it like for a little while yet, just because it is clearly
Mm.
still selling so well. It's always at the
Yeah.
top of the PSVR
Yeah.
charts.
That's.
We can,
I mean, it's always at the top of most of the charts. The thing I said too is like, even if you don't be like specifically accurate, it is always at like literally the top of the PSVR charts. But like,
yeah,
if you go to the Quest top sellers, it's always there in the top 10.
yeah,
Like it never drops out. It's pretty insane how dominant it is in that regard.
yeah.
So yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, well, yeah, it's really interesting. Like I say, like it's not the game for me. It's never been the game for me. But I do have incredible respect and appreciation for what it's done for the VR industry. Because basically, without it, headsets wouldn't have sold as much as they've sold.
Yeah.
The ecosystem wouldn't be in quite the place it is right now. And I do look forward to it. I do look forward to what else is coming from a DLC thing. There are plenty of bands. It's never touched on a band that I particularly care about massively, but
Yeah.
there's
I
still the
think that's the
potential
thing
for
too,
that
is
to
when it
happen.
does, it's like those are the ones I enjoy most, is
Yeah.
the artists that I actually really like.
Yeah.
And so I don't know, I'd
It's
love
the
to just
Billie
see
Eilish
way,
fanboy
way
over here.
more. Yeah, that's it. That's it. So I was calling that one for months. I was happy with that. But plenty of others they could do for me. Who else could they get from me? Taylor Swift, that'd be a great one. Get Taylor Swift.
If you
Doja
have
Cat, get me a Doja Cat pack.
any trouble predicting
Um,
Harry's music taste after that, Billie Eilish and Taylor
yeah,
Swift, I think
Billie
we know
Eilish,
what
Taylor
we're
Swift,
gonna...
Doja Cat. Who else am I listening? Harry Styles. Get me a Harry Styles pack.
Oh, that would actually be good.
Any of those.
be down
If
for
you're
that.
listening, Meta, just cater purely to my desires, who also happen to be mega popular artists. I think you do pretty well. But yeah. So that's our Beat Saber review.
Yeah,
What's next?
and to transition, to segue, do you think we'll
Mhm.
see Beat Saber as a PSVR 2 launch title?
Oh, well, okay, this is interesting, because do we count launch title as like that doesn't count like PS4 PSVR game that's supported on PS? Like, I don't know how
No.
that'll work. Because we're assuming that all existing PSVR titles are not automatically supported, correct?
Yeah, we don't think there's
Yeah.
backwards compatibility. To
Okay.
give this
So
some
in that
context,
case, yes.
there was a investor report from Sony this week
Mhm.
that didn't give any new information on the release of PSVR 2. Suffice to say that there will be 20 plus first and third party launch titles when it does finally arrive.
Mm,
And I don't think Beat Saber will be one of them. I think this is where we
interesting.
start.
Do you think that's because it will not be on PSVR 2 at all?
I don't think it will be. I think that'll be a big problem.
Ooh, spicy.
I think it's very spicy, isn't it? Like I think we've had the grace period of them supporting as many platforms as they can, and now Meta's going to be like, no, we don't want this thing outselling us.
Interesting. Yeah, but I mean, fat stacks they could make there. I mean, they're missing out on
fat stacks indeed. Fat stacks indeed. But
I guess it depends on how much money. Like to me, because it's been at the top of the charts forever, I would love to know the numbers because, like,
Yeah.
it might be at a point where it's just so insanely high on those charts consistently that it is making them so much money.
Yeah.
But I don't know. Yeah, maybe they won't. That'd be a pretty. And then if they do that, does PSVR still get the DLC if there's more DLC coming?
Yeah.
Like the original PSVR
Exactly.
version. Interesting.
And I guess again the model could change, right? Like they could again bring Horizon Worlds to PSVR 2. I could totally see them doing that at some point. And again, we get some version of Beat Saber transitioning through that. But I would think certainly not at launch. I would place a sizable bet on that. Maybe it comes later down the line after some negotiating.
Oh yeah, that's a good point. If they do like a year after launch, they're like, and now it's here.
Yeah.
And then they get the good faith for like seeming like they backtracked, but then they get to be like, no, actually, this is always in the works. Like, the typical,
Either that or just in the way we've seen Sony transition into PC, we see some sort of level of collaboration where maybe they bring some of their PSVR 1 titles to Quest and Facebook plays ball in that sense, but I don't know. What else? So we've been showing on the screen Horizon Call of the Mountain, which hasn't been confirmed as a launch title, but I would say if anything was going to be, it's probably that, right? Like,
you would
certainly
think
launch
so.
window. I would imagine for that one.
You would like to hope if
and then you've got the thing of basically deciding what else will be there. So you wrote this article, and I think you quite rightly mentioned Among Us VR seems like a good
Among Us VR.
potential.
Well, I think that one is like almost guaranteed because they have said we know that's end of this year. We know that PSVR 2 is not end of this year, most likely, seemingly next year. And then they said about PSVR 2, the Among Us VR team were like, when the headset releases for PSVR 2. So presumably they have it like ready to go. And I would, I'm guessing that they had it ready to go if PSVR 2 had launched at the end of this year. It would have come out and everything at once. It hasn't, so it'll come out the minute PSVR 2 is available. So I would say it's a pretty good lock-in. And the other one is could be Firmament, because the PS5 version is coming later this year. Similar scenario, and there's optional VR support. So you would think
that would be I think that's a good guess. That's Cyan Worlds, the guys that did miss. That's their next game, and they actually dropped PSVR support when they said they were going to do PSVR 2. So I think that's a strong chance as well. We also know that Fast Travel Games is working on multiple PSVR 2 titles. I would, as you said in the article, I would guess that most likely means a port of Cities VR, given they've been like, we'll talk about other platforms at a later date.
Other
and it's
platforms,
like, we know that First Contact Entertainment is working on a PSVR 2 title, not necessarily a launch title, but it's those are the guys that made Firewall Zero Hour, Zero Dawn.
Zero Hour.
Zero. Okay.
I think now you confused me. I'm pretty sure it's
Horizon Zero Dawn.
Yep.
Firewall 0 Hour. You're right. And that just got launched its last season this week. So clearly they're all kind of like focusing on whatever the PSVR 2 thing is now. I would guess that's probably a Firewall sequel, which I think would be a very welcome inclusion at launch.
So that was pretty popular, wasn't it? I mean, I don't know. Was that actually? I know that was like one of the games that people really liked, but was it actually popular in terms of player base? I think so, right?
People loved it at launch. It's had great support. It is a great game. It just has the core issue that they never fixed the fact that it was like 3 minutes of matches, maybe 5 minutes of waiting in a lobby, 3 minutes of matches, 5 minutes of waiting in a lobby, and I think the community kind of just fizzled out a bit because of it. Although they did do as good a job they could as at sustaining it with cosmetics and stuff. But so then number 6 is CodeSync's launch title, which we also reported about this week. So these are the guys that did Jurassic World Aftermath, which sounds like
that.
So you think it will be that? I don't think.
Well, I mean, it could be 2, couldn't it? That's the other thing. It could be
It could
they
be
could
2.
be working on a port, and then they've also got that co-op survival game.
I would guess it's that, because CodeSync bought Shadowpoint over to PSVR earlier this year. So I would guess we're going to see Jurassic World Aftermath on PSVR this year, and then whatever this co-op survival title, which was mentioned in an investor report from the owner.
You think Aftermath is coming to original PSVR?
Yeah, that's what I guess.
Yeah, I guess so. Yeah,
and
shame
then
they couldn't tie that in with the movie, but anyway.
Yeah, that would have been good
Comes
actually.
out this month, but missed opportunity there. But then In Dreams.
End Dreams, yep, that's a good point. So I don't know which specifically what. Oh well, Ghostbusters has to be a thing for that, right?
Oh yeah. Well, again, Ghostbusters is that situation where they said within a year of the. So I guess it's like any time between now and like next May. So yeah, if it launches early in the year and Ghostbusters is early in the year, then it could be that. So yeah, that's a good point.
It will be Quest 2 exclusive at launch, but.
Okay. So I guess well, let's say that launches like, I don't know, February for Quest, and then like PSVR 2 launches, I don't know, April or something. It could, hypothetically, it could.
Yeah, kind of like a Moss situation where Moss is coming in summer to Quest 2.
And End Dreams did say they're working on multiple PSVR 2 games. So it could be something like a port or something. I don't know what.
Fracked.
Yeah, actually true. I guess Little Cities. Yeah, I didn't think about that.
That could all be stuff. So I think we're up to like 7 pretty solid bets. I would also say you can probably count on the stuff that's already on PSVR but has a PS5 version. So I would say No Man's Sky is almost certainly a lock.
True. Yep.
Probably, well, hopefully Hitman 3.
What else is there? Oh,
yeah. Although,
sure.
Not, yeah.
Actually, no, I'm going to say no to Hitman 3 because those, no offense, developers, but those developers are pretty slow and they are a very small team. They're getting bigger.
No offense to developers.
James Bond game. No offense to you. You do a great job. I love your games, but also you guys do things pretty slowly for good reason because it's a small. So I reckon no to Hitman 3, but maybe later.
So Fire Sprite, which are developing Horizon Call of the Mountain, also have the Persistence, which is has the PS5 version. So I think that's probably a safe bet. And then I would, to bring it up to the halfway point of things that I think will be there. Not VR chat. I think Gran Turismo 7 will definitely be a launch title. Yeah, I think it has to be.
Yeah. Sure. For sure.
And if so,
you heard
there we
go.
First. That's half of them.
That's 10. Half-Life Alyx, number 11.
Oh my god, yeah.
Not at launch.
That's true.
But not at launch. Well, probably not at launch though.
I don't know. Getting into the whole discussion, I would expect it to grow to like 30 or 40 by the time we get around to it, right? Because there's just so many quick wins to be had in the porting game at the end of the day. Like if you look at the back catalogue of original PSVR games, there's just so much that could be updated. Yeah, Dreams is a big one.
That could totally do from the PS5 power as well. That really,
Saints and Sinners, Chapter 2.
True.
That certainly has to be there at launch, doesn't it? Like that's going to be a huge game. Bone Lab has to be a thing.
Yeah. Boneworks and Bone Lab.
Exactly, yeah. So I feel like we're just going to see this list grow and get closer to, like maybe they, like maybe Sony wants to, kind of, pace it out for the first couple of weeks. So maybe it's 20 to 30 on launch day. Yeah, but then within the launch window, you're getting a big release every like 2 or 3 weeks. Because it's going to be ridiculous just if everyone gets on board, especially if people start doing, if you already own this on PS4, then it's a free update on PS5 and everything like that. It's going to be crazy just how quickly stuff is coming out for this device at first.
I think for it to be really impressive, and if we consider that, let's say it's this time next year, we could have, a couple of new Quest exclusives that are properly exclusives, like
Mm,
GTA, maybe, probably not, but
mm.
who knows? Um, the other one that I thought of has now escaped my mind that is properly
The
exclusive to
Ubisoft
Quest.
ones.
Assassin's Creed, yep,
Yeah.
that stuff. Then like I think that man, it'd be so lovely to have some competition, and also like PSVR needs to do this, I think, of like
Yeah.
we're launching and we have Horizon exclusive, we have Alex, the only other place you can play it not with a computer, and I don't know, something else, Gran Turismo 7
Yeah.
and like some other big new thing maybe that's not known about, an IP or something. Um, I think that'd be like really healthy and good, but it'd be really nice to see because although I'm like, wow, that's impressive. There's 20, maybe 30 or whatever titles. I don't want it just to be filled up with like ports of stuff I can also get on Quest or
Yeah.
also already had on PSVR.
Exactly. Yeah.
Like I feel like there really needs to be a solid base of like, but this is why you're getting PSVR 2 specifically, and all this other stuff is here as you would expect as a
Yeah.
bonus.
They need to. They definitely
Yeah.
like Horizon is a really good start on that front, but they need to be doing the stuff that's going to make going to be a clear jump over what you can get on Quest 2. And we've
Yeah.
heard through reports that some of those efforts will be in like hybrid games. So if you imagine like there was potentially support for like Deathloop and they went back and put in motion control support and everything like that, I
Mm,
think there's a really, really good chance we'll see a couple
yeah.
more of those things. I kind of somewhat strongly believe Resident Evil 8 will
Yeah.
be a launch window
Took the
thing.
words right out of my mouth. Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
That seems
But
pretty likely.
I would like to see more of, specifically to your point, I would also like to see more of just
IP.
utilizing like your first party IP
Yeah.
for
Because they have
VR
such good
exclusive
IP
games.
too.
Yeah. And
They have a lot of them.
it's great for like side stories and stuff. I don't need you to make a full Ghost of Tsushima game in it. You don't need a 60-hour epic. I just need a 10-hour experience.
Put a little like dojo slicing, game or
Yeah.
something. I'd do that. I'd go around sneaking around, doing some fun levels, or like a Spider-Man swinging game. Give me an Insomniac Spider-Man swinging game, like
Oh, that
the
would be crazy,
definitive
wouldn't it?
one. Like
Yeah.
the actual, like an actual, like we've got all these weird versions of them that do several different things. Give me the good one.
Yeah.
Give me the
Exactly.
definitive swinging. Just let me swing around New York. I'd do that for hours and throw up several times.
Oh, and I totally,
Um,
yeah, just like in terms of that, Insomniac Games as well, just getting like mixing Ratchet with
yeah,
VR,
yeah.
Spider-Man, like revisiting some of
Even
their older stuff.
even just like if you could get the fidelity, I mean, you probably can't, but if you get the fidelity of Ratchet and Clank on PS5 on the headset and play it like a uh the Fox game Lucky
Oh,
something,
Lucky's Tale.
super lucky,
Yeah.
super lucky Mario,
Lucky's Tale.
and I can run around like that.
Yeah.
That'd be really cool if it looked, I think, even close to as visually stunning as that, because that game to me is like nothing has surpassed that
Yeah.
in terms of visuals. I do not care at all for the gameplay personally, but
Yeah.
looks stunning.
Yeah.
If they can get somewhere close to that, that'd be a great, comparison point with Quest 2 of like, oh, that looks amazing. You could take that amazing experience everyone knows is one of the best and putting it on the headset.
Mm.
Yeah.
We
Mm.
I could go down the rabbit hole with this all day. But like
Yeah,
we
we
would
totally
also
could.
end up just repeating ourselves week after week as we get
Yeah,
closer to launch. So
that's
let's cap
true.
it there for now. But
Mm-hmm.
20 plus is a very positive start. I expect to see that either rise to like 30 or 40 at launch. Certainly in
Yeah,
the launch window, you could
yeah.
easily do. I'll say like I think PSVR launched with like 50 games in its like first year or something. You
Mm.
could easily do 50 good ones, including all the ports and stuff, in
Yeah.
the first like 3 months.
The interesting number will be the number of non-ports, non-PSVR ports, and non-Quest
Yeah,
2 available
yeah,
games. That'll be a
yeah.
really interesting one to see. Yeah.
Let's move on to some release dates and things of this nature. Starting off with the June 2nd release date of Wings 1941. Do you have the trade for that? Because my tablet's being slow.
Ooh,
Oh no, maybe I do.
yes. I have it right here.
Okay, do it.
There we go.
Go, go, go.
Ta-da!
Now, if you've played the Capcom classic 1942, the kind of top-down shoot 'em up, imagine that in VR. That's basically what this game is. It's coming to Quest. You use your hand to steer an airplane from third person. It takes place in the Second World War, like visiting some of its most famous battles. and it's very bullet hell, very arcade style. The cool thing about this for me, and the thing that was like, okay, maybe I might actually check this one out, is apparently there's co-op support. So
Oh, cool.
2 players could potentially be. I don't know if it's the full campaign or just like a specific co-op mode, but I think
Yeah.
that would be really, really fun to try out because
Yeah, that would
you
be.
quite like Shooty Skies Overdrive, and
I
this is
did.
very much in this vein, right?
Yeah, it looks like Shooty Skies crossed with Warplanes.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, I surprisingly liked Shooty Skies, and it wasn't really a genre or game I expected to like that much. And I thought it worked really well in like as a room scale kind of thing. So I think that'd be really fun to play with people as well. That'd be totally fun. Also, interestingly, to come back to the PSVR 2 discussion, this is the kind of game
Hmm.
I was gonna say. Oh no, because I wonder if you could do something where someone is playing on a headset with
Social
one
screen thing.
controller, and the other person is playing on the TV with the other VR
Oh, that'd be
controller,
so
but
cool.
controlling it like.
Yeah.
Wonder if that's
I don't
a
think that
possibility. That'd be
I
cool.
don't think Sony would stop you doing that. There's the Conrad the Kitten game on the original PSVR where you're meant to tie a Move controller to a plush kitten toy so you can tend to the
I
kitten.
like that.
Yeah, I got a lot
Yeah,
of press
cool.
releases about that one back in the day.
Yeah, yeah.
So,
Yeah, so
that's a
that'd
cool
be
idea.
co-op is cool. I think that's a cool,
Yeah, as an experience to
addition.
share with someone
And
else, especially if they could
point of difference too.
play from the classic like 1942 perspective. That would actually be a really, really cool idea. So that's
Yeah.
cool. That's coming to Quest same day as the last Clockwinder on June 2nd. Moving on, we have something that came out this week that I just wanted to give a little shout out to. This is, I'm going to say Shores of Loki.
Is it Loki?
No, I don't want to say Shores
Loki,
of
right?
Loki because you can't.
And also
do that.
not Shores of. It could be Shores of Loci. No, it's not going to be Loci. There's no way.
Loci.
Also, it's
Shores
made
of
by
Loci.
Mike TV, the famous Willy Wonka character. So
yeah,
I'm glad to see he's gone on to do bigger and better things.
Come
He
a long
escaped
way
the chocolate
since-
factory. Yeah.
If you're a fan of puzzling places, this is like puzzling places, but instead of photogrammetric real environments, you have really nice fantasy levels, lovely little moving dioramas that you piece together. I've played the early access version of this, which is out on App Lab and PC now, and it's, if you're into puzzling places, which I know you really enjoy it, I think you'd absolutely love it. It's quite challenging.
I was watching
but
this trailer and I'm like, yeah.
It's quite challenging, but it's got like a perfect hint system for whenever you're getting too frustrated. And just watching like little people move about on the pieces as you're putting them together is incredible. As a visual and audio experience, it is really, really sumptuous. So
Yeah.
I would encourage people to go and check that one out. I think
Looks
it's really,
stunning.
really good. Yeah. Yeah, it's really, really good.
And I'm actually excited to check this one out. Looks very cool.
Finally,
is it App Lab on Quest, that one?
it's App Lab for now. It's like an early
Yeah.
access release.
Yeah. Cool.
So I think, more of it will. Well, hopefully there'll be more levels. As we get further into it. Finally, we have the release date trailer. Oh, this just reminded me I forgot to talk about the showcase. Finally, we have.
Well, there we go.
The release trailer and release date for Green Hell VR's PC version, which is going to launch during the UploadVR showcase on June 9th. Final time TBA, but it's happening. We'll have a proper announcement once we can get all the details out there. But as you may have seen on IGN this week, it's part of IGN Summer of Gaming again. Many announcements, very exciting. This is one of them. I'm looking forward to the PC version because, as we discussed a couple of weeks ago, Green Hell VR already out on Quest, and a really, really good game, but also not quite the original experience, like stripped down very sensibly to make sense for a standalone headset so it can actually run and everything like that. This is going to try and take the entire experience and put it on PC. Again, I would say pretty good contender for a PSVR 2 title at some point as well. I'm looking forward to this. I really hope it runs well on many PCs.
Yeah, that's what I was going to say, because that was the problem, right, with the demo.
Yeah, a lot of people. I actually didn't have that bad problems with the performance, but a lot of people
3080 Ti or whatever it is you're running. We can't all be high rollers over here.
You gotta have the best.
Yeah.
But if they've sorted those problems out, this is going to be a a massive release for PC this year, especially after the
Yeah,
disappointment of Hitman 3 in January. It's like the
yeah.
first really
That's
notable
not
thing.
even a. It's not even like a disappointment. Basically, it was like I don't even feel. I feel like that came and went in a day. It
Yeah,
was
it was a
unbelievable how quick no one
non-story and
cared
just
about it.
how.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Such
So
disappointment. Anyway,
yeah. So yeah,
yeah.
that's I guess we'll talk about more about this once we know
Mm-hmm.
exactly how it's going to shape up. But given
Yeah.
how well the Quest release went, I kind of have a decent level of faith that they're going to have sorted this one out too.
I can boot it up on my 1080 and just like experience 10 frames a second. I'll be your
Say
like
goodbye to your
guinea pig
PC
so
as it
that yeah,
blows
I'll
into
just watch it.
smithereens.
I'll watch it burst into flames. I'll be like, ah, yes, some fire. I can survive for the night. And then I'd be like, oh no, that's my PC blowing up. Not part of the game.
Oh dear, indeed. Harry, our last piece of news for the week, which is also kind of our topic for the week, even though we've had several lovely meaty discussions
Lots of
already
good
this week.
discussions this week.
Yeah, yeah, it's been good. I felt the air. I felt the magic in the air.
Yeah.
It's all clicking. Outlier, the
Mm,
VR roguelite from Joyway, who you will probably know for Stride and Against, has basically been cancelled. So the story behind this is that it was announced last year, probably. We featured it a couple of times in some upload showcases. It came out in early access earlier this year. First couple of like environments and levels in a VR roguelite, basically, going onto an alien planet, fighting off hordes of aliens, going into different like randomly generated environments, using superpowers, using firearms, and I quite enjoyed it as what it was already. I had a lot of problems with it again from a kind of performance perspective and a pacing
mm,
perspective. But I figured, with a couple of years of work, well, a couple of months to a couple of years of work, it could be pretty much as good
yeah.
as Until You Fall potentially. And
Mm-hmm.
unfortunately, earlier this week, so maybe like 2 or 3 months after it launched in early access, Joyway came out and said, we have overestimated the demand for this game and underestimated the complexity of the roguelike genre, and specified that it would take another 8 to 12 months with a, in quotes, low probability that the project will ever achieve at least financial self-sufficiency. And
At
thus,
least they're honest.
the game has been cancelled. No more work on it.
Yeah.
It's been taken off Steam. You are free to
Bow,
keep
bow.
playing it, or you can request a Steam refund, which Joyway said they would support. This felt like it was
Yeah.
always going to happen,
Uh,
right? We not
yeah.
necessarily the Outlier would be the
This,
one to fall by the
but
wayside,
one of
but
them. One of the
Joyway,
many.
yeah, we have always said with Joyway, who this is, I
What's
think, their
going on here?
fifth announced project in
Yeah.
like 2 or 3 years. There was a game
Yeah.
called Brains versus Zombies, which again did the same thing of disappearing off the face of the earth. They did
Mm-hmm.
Stride, which is still in early access. They've got Against, which is still in early access. They still have a game called Time Hacker, which is still in early access but hasn't been updated in a long time. And it's
Yep.
like,
That's next.
you guys, this is too many games. VR doesn't
Yeah.
make
What's
VR doesn't make enough
yeah.
revenue, especially if you're not on Quest. What the hell are you doing, right?
Yeah, I don't understand what the thought process was here. That's what I can't get my head around. Like I remember receiving emails from these guys and being like, "What? Another one?"
Yeah,
Like so confusingly, almost thinking that they couldn't be true or that like there was another game and I'm like, "Well, that's never getting released," because I think it's credit to them. There's these weird early access builds where all of them are in early access, but also you can't
mm.
have like this many games in early. I mean, I'm a pretty non-big fan of early access anyway. I get that it has its
Mm.
benefits, but I'm not the biggest fan of it as a system. Because I never would probably play a game in early access,
Yeah.
voluntarily
I'd
if I
always
didn't have to.
much prefer
Rather wait,
the
yeah,
finished product
yeah.
because
But I especially don't like when there's like 5 games and none of them are finished. I find that's like, what's going on there? Why are you not finishing any of these? What do you not
yeah,
have faith in? Are you trying out which of them works? That's not how it's meant to work. I think,
and
yeah, it's weird.
there's 2 points to this, which is first of all, people might say, "Oh, scam," but it's like, well, it's not like they're just making bad clones of things or like, shovelware. Outlier,
Yeah,
what
no,
I played
it's
was good.
yeah,
Against, I think, is absolutely fantastic. Stride isn't completely for me, but is their most popular game. So it's
yep,
not like they're just like creating rubbish and trying to
yeah,
pass it off
yeah,
as gold. And it's also like it's not necessarily like anyone's been wronged in this process, because they've said, yeah, refund it if you want to refund it.
yeah. You will get your money back if you want it.
Yeah, you'll get your money back, so, and everything like that. So
Yeah,
it's just it's not like they've necessarily done anything wrong. It's just now the next
yeah,
time they announce one of their projects, everyone's going to be like, why should I buy this? Because there's a
yeah.
hefty chance that you'll just cancel it soon. And that's
Also,
a
the fact to
problem.
me that it's like not all shovelware makes it more confusing because I'm like, what
Yep.
actually was the plan?
Yep.
Like, if they were trying to pass it off as a scam, I would have less respect, but I'd also be like, yeah, they're just trying to throw these things out and get people to buy them. Whereas
Yep.
clearly they had ideas for 5 games. Like, I don't understand how big is this studio? Like, how many, who's
Exactly.
working on what? Are they all, is it 5 different teams? It's so,
And
such a bizarre thing to process or
it's
think about.
this is where it's worth bringing up a report we had from like a week or two ago, which was that, as
Yeah.
people that have been following will know, Stride disappeared from Quest for well over a month. We spoke to Meta about it, and they said, look, we've delisted some apps with financial entities based in Russia. I was also in contact with Joywave throughout the entire thing, and they were insistently saying, look, we don't really know why it's been taken off the store. We had some connections to Russia at the start. We still have a few employees left in Russia, but we're a remote company, and mainly a Cypriot company now. Like, we don't have these links that basically Meta thinks we do. And obviously Stride is back, so someone figured out
Yeah,
something
it got
somewhere
resolved somewhere.
to turn the
Yeah.
dial. But it's just all these weird things are happening,
Yeah.
and the messaging around it has never been very transparent. And if you want
Yeah. Or
people,
confidence inspiring.
yeah, exactly. If you want people
Yeah.
buying your products or looking forward to your next product, confidence and transparency are two things you really, really have to have alongside finished games. So
Yeah.
it's just not like, even though they haven't necessarily wronged anyone in all of this process, it's not great for the future outlook of the company, I don't think.
No. And it's just a weird situation that feels kind of odd, of just like what was happening here? What was the plan? I don't know. So
Yeah.
bizarre. Like,
Yeah.
again, was it 5 teams? Is now like one of these teams going to be redistributed onto other stuff and that'll get updated quicker? Like,
Yeah.
what's happening with the other stuff? Are they going to get cancelled too? That's the biggest question I would say, is like, I think Stride is pretty safe, but like,
I would. Stride of all of them is definitely the safest, right? They have
yeah,
been working on the multiplayer update for a long time. They say announcements coming for that soon, and that's been,
I hope,
as far as I
Against
can
is
tell,
safe.
pretty successful on Quest and
Yeah,
PC and
seems pretty
PSVR.
popular.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Whereas
and I hope Against would be the safer one, but who knows?
I think
That
Against
looks
is the
cool.
better
That's
game
why
for sure.
Yeah, it looks really fun. I was watching the trailer again today, and I was like, I love the stylistic look of it too. I was actually might go and is that
And it
on
does.
Quest or is that a PCVR?
It's just PC for now. This is actually one of the ones they haven't
Yeah,
announced
right.
for Quest yet, because I think it's
Right,
just
okay.
that stylism would take a lot to
Yeah, to get over.
reimagine on Quest, basically.
Is it just Stride that's on Quest of theirs?
Yeah. They had
Yeah.
actually announced that Outlier had been officially approved for the Quest Store as well, but that ain't happening now.
Right. Okay.
So yeah, it's
RIP.
from now on, Joyway, if you're listening, look, just get Stride and Against finished as actual products that anyone can easily recommend. Get to the point where you just need to do quality of life things with them, maybe a DLC pack every once in a while. Then you could revisit Outlier, or then you could take on a new project. But for the love of God, don't announce a new project until both of those games are done.
I'm waiting for that announcement. I wouldn't be surprised. They're like, guess what? In early access now, Stride 2.
Oh my God, yeah. They totally, yeah.
Like, you know what? We're leaving Stride behind. We're going straight to Stride 2.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And yeah, so I guess
it's double the price.
I guess all of this is to say, just take caution as a consumer with any company out there. Again, you wouldn't have
Yeah.
necessarily been wronged by getting into Outlier and everything like that, but we all have to be wary and vigilant as consumers and have to make
Yeah.
sure that developers are being honest
Especially with
and
early access
genuine
stuff
with their
too.
intentions. Sorry?
Yeah. Especially with early access stuff too, I think.
Exactly. Yeah, exactly.
That's
exactly,
always the
exactly.
area where people are always like, is this ever going to get finished really? Or is it just,
Yeah.
going out and going to be perpetually in early access or whatever?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And that takes us to the end of this week's edition
There
of
we
the
go.
VR Gamescast. Thanks so much for joining, everyone. Next week we'll be back with it's last Clockwinder week, so we can talk about that probably hopefully next week.
It is. Yes. Yes. Yeah,
And maybe
that'll be
me and you
fun.
should try
I'm looking
some
forward to that.
Wings 1941 as well, if we can.
Yeah.
good.
Yeah. True. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And hopefully more details on the
Sounds good.
UploadVR showcase as well. So please look forward
Yeah.
to all of that. We will see you next week. Ian and Heaney will be back next Tuesday with the VR download. Till then, have a good weekend, and we'll see you soon.